If you are an outdoor allergy sufferer, certainly you might think that we are at an all-time high for the season, triggering symptoms like sneezing, itchy eyes, and congestion.
Everyone's different. Some people have reactions to certain pollens like trees. Other ones may be allergic to grasses and have those symptoms. And other people have the trifecta. They're affected by all different types of pollen, including mold.
Experts say there are some simple things you can do to help reduce your exposure to pollen.
At this time of year when it's like breezy and warm and, you have a lot of pollen floating around. So one of the first things to do is keep your windows closed in your house. For those who have carpets, you want to vacuum at least once a week.
Experts say once mowing season starts, N95 masks filter out the pollen and can reduce your reaction to it. Sunglasses that wrap around your eyes will also help. So there is a good chance that your car looks a little bit like these here, a yellow or a green tint with all the pollen, but does it actually impact your car in the long term? Patrick Olsen with Carfax is here to break it down for us. Patrick, let's start with the outside, the exterior of the car. Are there any long-term issues if for some reason you just don't have the time or the money to wash it right away?
Absolutely. Pollen is both acidic as well as being sharp. Now, it may not look sharp or feel sharp if you brushed it off, but when you get it under a microscope, it's got some sharp edges, and that can dig into the paint of your car. And the longer you leave it on there, the more it can damage the paint of your car.
All right, so let's move to the interior now. You might be thinking, well, pollen doesn't really get into the car, but it does.
Absolutely, it does. And a lot of people aren't even aware of something called a cabin air filter. It's not the air filter that you'll get replaced when you get an oil change, but it's literally an air filter that in most cars these days sits behind the glove box. And what you want to do is make sure that you get that looked at by a mechanic and or change it yourself. In many cars, it's very easy to do it yourself, but take it out and replace it, because the longer you leave it there unchanged, the more pollen builds up there, the more dust builds up there. It can really be a problem for people trying to breathe inside your car.
Depending on what the interior of your car is made of, what does it do to leather or similar surfaces?
Well, again, it's acidic in its nature, and so the more that it kind of gathers on, whether it's the plastic or leather or even cloth, over time it's going to start to break those things down. So you want to make sure you're cleaning it off. But when you're cleaning off, whether it's inside the car or outside, make sure you're washing it off with like water. If you think, oh, I'll just take a hand and rub the pollen off the car, you're going to make it scratch harder. So you want to make sure you're either using like a chamois cloth or just a hose to hose it off. What you don't want to do is press it into your car and then push it aside.
Any recommendations for cleaning off maybe a layer of pollen that's inside your car?
I would just say keep an eye on if you see things accumulating. But again, like maybe monthly, I live in Eastern Tennessee, we get tons of pollen as well. And I would just check and see what does your interior look like? Because you can definitely see the dust start to pile up on the dashboard or wherever. I would use, your typical car inside cleaners, interior cleaners, and use, again, a soft towel to wipe those off so you're not scratching at anything.
If you are someone who wants to wait for Mother Nature to help clean the car off, it could be a while, like this drought that we are in. You might be using your windshield wipers just to at least clear the windshield of that, but
Yes.
Does that affect the windshield wipers long term?
No, actually, that windshield wipers are a great way to get at least that out, because the thing that's more important than any effect the pollen might have on your windshield is your visibility. It's absolutely crucial that you're able to see and see clearly. So again, I would stop by a gas station and squeegee off the entire windshield, not just the portion that's affected by the wipers, to make sure that you've got clear 360-degree vision.
Would you recommend, I think most vehicles have the ability to either circulate the air from inside or pull it from the outside. When it comes to pollen, is there one that's better than the other?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. As long as it's not raining, use the recirc button. That's the little button that looks like it's a arrow and that's moving inside of your car. That way you're going to get fresh air and unpollinated air circulating through your car. But if it's raining at all, be careful, because that can fog up your windows very quickly and, again, diminish your visibility.
How often would you say that people need to be washing their car, or at least rinsing it off at this time of year?
Yeah, I would say absolutely every month, and depending on how much pollen you get, and I've seen some horrible cases of pollen. If there's a pretty heavy layer on it, just take it to one of those quick, $3, $5 Insta-Wash car washes and just get the stuff blown off your car, particularly the no-touch washes where there's just sprays of water without anything rubbing against your car will take care of that. It doesn't need to be detailed, but you definitely don't want that stuff on there for very long.
A lot of people might have a car wash membership. Is there a risk to washing your car too much?
I think you'd have to wash it an awful lot to ever have a problem. Yes, there are chemicals and waxes in some car washes. I have a car wash membership myself, but you'd have to be doing it almost daily for it to really have some kind of impact like that. Those car washes are very good at getting stuff on and getting it off without damaging your car.
Anything else that people, is there like a misconception when it comes to pollen and your vehicle, or any other piece of advice that you want to share for people to really navigate this season better?
Well, a couple things to think about is it's not just pollen, right? There's also sap from trees. As trees awaken and bud, they very often drop sap on cars, and you may think, oh, that's harmless. That stuff will eat through your paint even faster than pollen does. The same with bird droppings, right? That is very, very acidic, and you want to get that cleaned off much sooner rather than later. So be aware of your car and look at it all the time just to make sure that you're not letting something go, and particularly in places, if you're not often looking at the passenger side, walk around it. Check the front hood, check the rear trunk, but be aware of what's going on. In the spring, there's a lot that's falling from the sky.
The guy who knows everything about cars, Patrick Olsen with Carfax. Thanks so much for being here and your insight today. We do appreciate it.